This International Donors Conference, Together for the People of Turkey and Syria, which is going to be in this room and also online. I want to begin with some of the housekeeping rules. First of all, we have translations into and from English, French, German, Italian, Spanish, Arabic, and Turkish languages. Also, please note that the conference is web streamed, so I welcome also our audiences online. And I would also like to call on the photographers, cameramen, and press now to leave the room so that we can start earnest. Thank you. So, dear President, dear Prime Minister, Ministers, ladies and gentlemen, I'm grateful for the response of the international community to this call of ours, made together with the Swedish presidency, together with the Turkish authorities. First, we want to express our sincere condolences to the victims of families and loved ones and wish to quick recovery to the wounded. We stand with you during this time of grief. Second, we want the people of Turkey and Syria to know that you can count on the unwavering solidarity and support in these difficult times. We will assist you in the early recovery, relief, and reconstruction efforts following the disastrous earthquakes of last month. The immediate reaction of the region, Europe, and the entire world has been impressive. In the wake of this unprecedented catastrophe, resources have been mobilized to rescue, to help, and to shelter those in need. But of course, our help does not stop here. It is clear that we will need to do significantly more to overcome the human suffering and alleviate all the damages. And we as international community stand ready to take our share on trying to help Turkey and Syria to overcome this tragedy. Today's Donors Conference has the ambition to take this next step towards recovery and reconstruction. The damages and the needs are massive, if not unprecedented, and must be tackled urgently. The European Commission is ready to do everything in its power to help. We are ready to participate in building new houses, schools, hospitals, and other critical infrastructure so that normal life can return to these regions in Turkey. We will support public services and businesses to restart. We are equally committed to provide humanitarian and early recovery assistance to the millions of Syrians who have suffered the consequences of the earthquakes, in addition to the suffering of the 15-year-long war. This is the kind of solidarity we are here to demonstrate today. Through this International Donors Conference, we have the opportunity to announce our support, help our partners to manage the impact of this earthquake, and build resilience to future natural disasters. I'm looking forward to your pledges. And it is now my pleasure to give the floor to my dear colleague Johan Forssell from Sweden.
Thank you, Commissioner. Excellencies, distinguished delegates, dear colleagues, ladies and gentlemen. It is my pleasure to be here today at this pledging conference initiated by the Swedish Prime Minister and the President of the European Commission. And I would like to thank all of you for attending. And in addition to the people that are present in this room, I know that many people and civil society organizations are following the conference online. And on behalf of the Swedish Presidency, you are all very welcome. The destruction following the earthquake is enormous, and the consequences for human lives devastating. The economies of the countries that have been struck will be affected for a very long period of time. And when we traveled to Ankara to prepare for this conference together with our Turkish counterparts, Commissioner Varhelyi and I received a warm welcome, but also heartbreaking information about the suffering and the needs of the people affected. And in this time of need, when disaster hits, it is crucial that the international community comes together and shows unity. It is important for the people affected, but also important for the multilateral system. I'm looking forward to the pledging session where the European and broader international community will showcase their support with the people in their time of need. Commissioner Vaheli, I hand the floor back to you.
Thank you very much, Minister. And now let me invite to the stage our President, President Ursula von der Leyen from the European Commission. President, you have the floor.
Thank you very much. Foreign Minister Cavusoglu, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us today. When the earth started to shake in Turkey and Syria, it was cold, it was dark and raining. People were sleeping in the warmth of their homes when the sky came crashing down. The pain of the loss of life is inexpressible. More than 48,000 people dead, thousands still missing, millions homeless. In minutes, cities and communities were turned to mounds of rubble and dust. Entire families were lost, their beds turned into coffins. When the sun rose that morning, the people of Turkey and Syria were in shock and mourning. The whole world held its breath. But tens of thousands sprang to action to rescue and save those who were still alive beneath the devastation, to heal and to give shelter to those who lost everything. Thousands volunteers working day and night in the dust and in the cold, saving hundreds of lives, screaming of joy whenever they found a child alive under the rubble. The first responders performed miracles in the midst of tragedy. They inspired hope where there is so much pain. This is a story of catastrophic loss, and it is a story of heroic solidarity among the people of Turkey, the people of Syria, and your friends around the world. On that morning, many rushed to help. The European Union, too, immediately activated its civil protection mechanism. Hours after the first earthquake, European rescue teams arrived in Turkey, just as a second earthquake, almost as powerful as the first, caused even more death. 1,652 European rescuers and 111 search dogs helped the local heroes. Hungarian firefighters, for example, found Selma, a Turkish woman 5 meters beneath the collapsed building, where she lay for 47 hours. It was in the middle of the night when they heard her cries with -9 degrees Celsius outside. They got her out alive, and Selma's story of survival is one of many. Polish and Bulgarian teams found and saved an entire family of 4. And the first survivor, a French medical team treated, was a 3-month pregnant Syrian refugee. For over 10 days, they searched the rubble. At Gaziantep airport, there were rescue and medical teams from all over the world. Many were crying. They were exhausted. They hadn't slept for days. I think we owe them an overwhelming gratitude. Today's impressive attendance at this donors' conference testifies to the international community's strong response. The whole world mobilized to support the people of Turkey and Syria. Because the scale of this tragedy is so large that no one country or agency alone could have done anywhere near what we have done together. 6 weeks later, the scale of the devastation from the earthquakes is still being uncovered, and the international mobilization has not stopped. Tents and clothes and food and medical supplies continue to arrive. Yet the needs of the survivors are still massive and must be tackled with urgency. The earthquakes affected a region in Turkey home to 13.5 million people and an unknown number in Syria. Millions are now homeless and living in tents as the winter drags on. We need to sustain our support and help the survivors not just to survive, but to rebuild their lives. Ladies and gentlemen, we need to mobilize for reconstruction. Homes and schools and hospitals must be rebuilt with the highest standards of seismic safety. Water and sanitation and other critical infrastructure must be repaired. Public services and businesses need capital to restart, so that people can earn a living. We will hear later from the UNDP a presentation of the first estimates of damages, but we already know the challenge is immense. Larger than any one of us alone can master, but together we can master the challenge. And that is why, together with the Turkey authorities and the Swedish presidency of the Council, the European Commission has organized this pledging conference. No one can fill the void left by those who lost their lives. Yet together we can reconstruct and rebuild. The European Union and its member states and financial institutions have put together a strong pledge. I am pleased to announce that the European Commission alone will support Turkey with €1 billion for the post-earthquake reconstruction. We also pledge a further package of €108 million for humanitarian assistance and early recovery in Syria. On top of this, our member states and the European financial institutions will make additional pledges. That comes on top of the €21 million in humanitarian assistance that we have already mobilized. So I invite all nations and all donors to contribute, to honor the memory of the lives lost, to honor the heroism of the first responders, and to sustain the hope of the survivors. Thank you very much, and I now give the floor to the Prime Minister of Sweden.
Thank you so much, Ursula, and Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. 42 days ago, the lives of millions of people in Turkey and Syria changed completely in just a matter of seconds. Within a few minutes, hundreds of thousands of people lost their homes, their everyday routines, their sense of normalcy and belonging. In the following days, it became painfully clear that hundreds of thousands of people lost someone they loved. Over 50,000 lives were lost. As the European Union and as members of the international community, we cannot take away the grief or the pain. We cannot fill the voids from the loved ones that were lost in the earthquakes. But we can do one thing. We can turn our words of condolences and solidarity into action. That is why we meet here in Brussels today. That is also the reason for Sweden holding the current presidency of the European Union and the EU Commission to arrange this meeting for the people of Turkey and Syria. This conference has one clear goal: to make the struggle of rebuilding everyday lives and communities easier. We need to make sure the response from the international community is strong, efficient, and coordinated. The challenge to rebuild cannot be exaggerated. The affected area in Turkey and Syria equals actually the countries of Belgium and Netherlands together. Whole cities and societies need to be reconstructed, and the survivors will need to help to return to a slightly more normal life. We still do not have precise figures on all the physical destruction, but we're talking about large sums. The total economic impact will be devastating and long-term. However, we know one more thing, that when the EU and the international community makes a strong effort together, we can make an enormous difference. This was clearly manifested by the large number of EU countries and other nations quickly sending search and rescue teams, tents, field hospitals, generators, and other support to the people affected. From Sweden, we quickly sent teams of experts and immediate relief. I was impressed by the strong will also of private individuals, NGOs, and the business community to help as well. The initial and fast response to the earthquakes must be followed by solid support for continued humanitarian relief, recovery, rehabilitation, and reconstruction. My own country, Sweden, will today pledge 500 million Swedish kronor, equivalent to 45 million euros, to support humanitarian and reconstruction efforts in Turkey and humanitarian assistance and rehabilitation in Syria. This conference has one clear goal: to make the struggle of rebuilding everyday lives community easier. We will channel our funds through long-standing partners, the UNDP, the UNICEF, the UNHCR, and the WFP. This conference provides the EU and the wider international community with an opportunity to show the affected people in Turkey and Syria that we will stand by you as you rebuild your everyday lives. Our job here today is to make sure the EU and the wider international community provide adequate and effective support to make these challenges easier to face. The solidarity with the people of Turkey and Syria must today be transformed from words into action. This is why we have invited you all here today. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Prime Minister. Thank you, President. And now it is our honor to give the floor to His Excellency, the President of Turkey, Mr. Erdogan. But before his address,